We're here.
I wish I could give this feeling. I wish I could give this feeling. On the corner.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Corner Podcast. Kel Dansby here with the old man Andreas and Kel and producer Cole, baby, on the boards. Always nice coming from bright and sunny LA, about 20 degrees cooler than here in Vegas. So Cole's living his best life.
It's great.
Today we are we are talking boxing. It's a quiet weekend in boxing this weekend, unless you like crazy shenanigans, because the Zone is having their first, what is it called, the X series or some wild shit. I don't know,
Making
man.
people
You
pay
should know
for
what
this shit.
this marketing as. I'm surprised you're not out there.
Are you really?
I am. You know what? Side note, I'm tired of motherfuckers, Dre. If I gotta go on a rant, I'm tired of people doing shit like this. I'm tired of Triller, tired of the Zone. If y'all want to do some cool shit, if y'all want it to be loosely tied to boxing, you want it to be more culturally relevant, I'm tired of them not cutting us the check. We can do commentary. We can do a pre-show. Who the hell are you going to have, Sergio Mora, on your pre-show with this? Sergio Mora don't know TikTok. Kids don't know Sergio Mora. Man, tired of not getting a check for this shit.
We're still
Nonetheless.
we're still in the market for Fight Nick. So please send in your best bid offers, and we'll be ready to go.
Telling you, I'm tired of this. Gonna have fucking, I don't know.
Look, man.
Is Jim Lampley next for a YouTube boxing card? Cut the check.
Listen. If Capitol Records can sign a virtual rapper to say the N-word and have some white dude talk about police brutality, everybody wants the culture, but they don't want the culture, right? Like everybody wants the culture, but they don't want to pay the people to be part of the culture. So unless we build it, they ain't gonna come. So like Triller's created this like try to be cool, even though we don't know where Triller is now. Like Triller's nowhere to be found. Triller, after I went to
they're not paying people.
Well,
that's where they're
there's a lot
they're
going
not
on.
cutting checks.
I mean, when I went to the Kovalev fight, that was in June. They said Jarrell Big Baby Miller was going to fight in a month, and they said the Triad was going to come back, and none of those things happened. So Triller's dead in the water.
They're doing verses, kinda. I don't know if they paid the people for the verses last time.
Swiss Beats and Timberland suing for $28 million.
Oh, they are.
So everybody wants a piece of the culture, but they don't want the culture to come along with it. So I'm not surprised that, you know, it don't have to be us. I know what you're saying, Kel. I appreciate that. But for me, it's like
I do. I want to check. It has to be us. I appreciate them. Listen, I liked when Jesus Mero was on there, right? Like that.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was funny. Snoop was on there passing a blunt around. Like that's a little bit much. But outside of that, like I get it. But sooner or later, you got to cut the check to us. Sooner or later, like there's only so many black people you can run through that are culturally relevant in our combat sports. Like if we're being real, like how many other black people we got? Like we got to be somewhere on this list. Like I like Ak and Barack when they do their shit. Like the Zone got Ak and Barack. Nobody else got Ak and Barack. There's only so many black people. Like nobody got to cut the check.
There's only so many black people who understand the sport. Like Snoop, yeah, he may watch a boxing match here and there, but he's not like a hardcore fan who can talk X's and O's of boxing. You know, like even Jesus and Mero will be like, oh, he got knocked out. They don't know his record, none of that shit. So it would be nice to have us up there, you know, because KSI is a rapper, a YouTuber fighting another rapper. He's fighting twice in one night.
Twice. They had the open workouts today. If it wasn't a travel day and I was just spent from being in Bristol the past couple of days, but I'm posting that shit tomorrow. It is comical at this open workout. I gotta edit these videos. You just remind me. I gotta rip these videos here in a second. It's on KSI's Instagram stories if anyone is intrigued. But I'll post it to Ringside too. He could fight 10 of these guys in one night. It'd be just fine.
Yeah, I mean his opponent, what's his name?
Opponents.
No, I'm not talking about Swarms. We know Swarms ain't never fought before. The other dude's
the
2-4.
other guy. Yeah.
Pavilion?
I don't.
Is that his name? Luis Padilla? I don't know. Whatever his name
I
is,
don't.
there's training footage of him and he throws the Stephen A. Smith uppercuts.
Who did he
Yeah.
beat? Who are those two?
Well, see,
That's who I'm now interested in. Who are those two?
here's the fun part about boxing. Like, and I said this about Julio Cesar Chavez's record. There comes a time when these guys are fighting actual cab drivers. They're like pulling over their yellow cab and like putting on the off-duty sign, going to the box ring, get knocked out, get back in their cab, turn on the on-duty sign, pick people up. So it's like, yeah, you beat somebody, but they can't fight. So what? So that's where his 2 wins came from, and he's fighting KSI. So here's my concern, because I don't feel like talking about this shit later. Let's get it out of the way. KSI is fighting 2 times in one night against 2 scrubs.
Yeah.
But here's the issue. What if KSI gets hurt? What if he breaks his hand in the first fight? What if
Got to fight one-handed, sir. Got to
But-
tie that shit behind his back.
but what if he like blows his gas tank and is just completely exhausted? Like there's a way this could backfire where he
This
doesn't
got to be
necess-
like WWE, right? Like you
Well-
can't go back to back. Like you got to go beginning of the show and then the final of the show. Like you got
I
to be like
agree.
Daniel Bryan at the Yeselmania.
I agree.
Get some
I
time in
agree.
between.
Like I figure he'll start the pay-per-view and end the pay-per-view, right? But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying his opponents know the assignment. They've come to lose, right? They show up and it was like, hey, don't hit KSI too hard.
I understand. I don't think they got a choice in the matter. Even if they did, like they couldn't hurt him if they tried. He got to hurt himself.
But but I'm saying, like, if he throws a right hand and like Swarms ducks his head and he breaks his hand, and he's got to fight that next fight with a broken hand.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
If you just
Like,
catch a headbutt, and
and-
you got color.
Exactly. So you know who's going to be watching this fight super close and providing the best commentary? Jake Paul.
Oh, Jake Paul's Twitter feed's gonna be phenomenal.
It's going to be incredible because if nothing else, I know Jake Paul's announced he's got an opponent for October and he'll be back in the ring. But dude,
Allegedly.
there's so much money in this KSI fight. There's no way he could just pass it up. He just needs to
No.
beat the shit out of KSI at some point.
His opponent has to be Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right?
I mean,
It's a boxer, a winning record
is he in
at
rehab?
185.
Where is Chavez?
How long do you think? I mean, he was at rehab in June. That's
Yeah.
why, like, or what was that, July when Tommy Fury fell out? So he couldn't be a late replacement because he was in rehab. How long do you got to go to rehab for?
I mean, this
Like
rehab,
life?
for a
Like,
lot of
if you
people-
sign in a lease.
Hey.
Cole did.
for a lot of people, rehab is a revolving door, man. They go in, they do the Grandpa Simpson, they go right back in. They're like, so for some people, and Chavez, I feel like is one of those guys. Got the gifts from his father and didn't have to work for it, and he don't give a
Man,
shit.
they gotta let him out sooner or later.
Yeah,
Like,
so that's-
sooner or later, like
so
if
the
you
kid-
in a 90-day rehab, bro, your problems.
You're
Like
a
I'm so
junkie.
glad you're getting help.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm so glad you're getting help. But if you in a 90-day rehab, bro, you gotta reevaluate life.
And I
Like,
mean,
that's
you know
some
what?
real shit.
And then we can talk about the real fights. If you're Jake Paul and your opponent truly is Julio Cesar Chavez, that's a risky opponent because you don't know if he's gonna make it to the ring in October.
At this point, he doesn't know who's making it to the ring. Like, it's every fight he's had in the past year and a half has changed, like on a whim. Like you are out of options at this point. So if you fight him, unless you want to go to the UK and fight Tommy Fury, which it seems like that's the last hurdle, but then you gotta tell Tommy not to get in.
That's what he should be doing. He should be going to the UK, but that's neither here nor there. I don't care about these two anymore.
No, I mean, they still want to fight each other. KSI is going to fight Jake Paul at some point.
Yes.
Jake just wants to check off the boxes, like, yo, I beat a boxer, and then I can go fight the KSI and make money. Then I can go and fight Nate Diaz, and people just shut the hell up because I checked off the box.
Yep.
So that's where we're at on that one. I mean, I guess we gotta talk Joshua Usyk from last week. That's like actual boxing as well. So with that fight, again, Saudi Arabia, right? Or Abu Dhabi. I don't know, wherever the fuck it was.
It was Jeddah,
Abu
Saudi
Dhabi.
Arabia.
No, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And we have the entire fight build up. Anthony Joshua, new trainers, looks great. He promises, no, the first fight I had a dumb game plan. I'm coming out. It's different. I know what to do. In an interview 4 days. I think it came out 4 days before the fight. I believe it was Boxing Scene, but maybe not. It could be like Sky Sports. But Anthony Joshua was like, the quote, and I'm paraphrasing, was, if Usyk was an orthodox fighter, I would have beat him easily. Saying that just because Usyk's southpaw is the reason he has trouble. I'm like, bro, you are a world-class professional boxer. You can't fight a lefty? Like, just train against all lefties. And I was just like, nah, this guy is he is forever flawed. I'm not gonna say DAZN bought a lemon, but they might have bought a lemon.
I don't think
Like, he could beat up the Chisaurus. He can. I think Joe Joyce rocks.
No, I think he smokes Joe Joyce. Like I think he kills Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce doesn't move enough. Yes,
I mean, he's very big in boxing.
I think before we get into the nuts and bolts of the fight itself, I think what we've established are tiers in the heavyweight division: Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, the winner of Ortiz and Ruiz next week, and then there's like Dubois, Joyce, Chisora, Dillian White. They're all in that pecking order. But we got to remember, Anthony Joshua has by far the best resume in the heavyweight division. By far.
Easy, but I mean, that's not debatable. But something's gone.
I mean, he lost to, we'll talk about this as well, the number one pound for pound fighter in the world.
Yes. And my rankings.
Is there any shame in losing to the best fighter in the world?
No, so, obviously not.
So
how you lose though plays a small part into this.
He didn't get blown out. He fought a much better fight.
The want to just wasn't like Usyk dug deep.
Yeah.
I saw none of that from Joshua, like the body work, the game plan, it was good. And I guess we'll talk about the fight. So we come into this and he does much of what worked in the first fight, which is go to the body early and often. He abandoned it like the 5th round of our first fight. He didn't abandon it this time until he got tired. But body work early and often. Early in the fight, like I'd say first round was a feeling out round, probably went to Usyk. I would give the next couple of rounds to Joshua, probably like the next 3-4 rounds to Joshua, because he was aggressive. He was throwing with more volume than Usyk. He did a pretty good job at cutting off the ring, as good as you can against a guy like Usyk with that footwork, right? Like, you're not going to corner him all damn match. It's like fighting Lomachenko. Like, Teofimo couldn't corner him the entire 12 rounds. But he did enough. He did it for like 6 rounds, and then Loma was like, well, let me figure this out and change shit up. So I thought Joshua did the same. Like, yo, you took enough of those early rounds. You got to steal like 2 on the back end, and you'll be pretty good, in pretty good shape. So he was able to cut off the ring, do some really good things there, keep the volume up. And then gone was the gas tank. And it was just a tired, big-ass man, tired of chasing this guy around. And Usyk starts taking the low rounds, close rounds still. Usyk takes this round. Usyk takes that round. And it's just like, fuck, all right, Joshua, what are you going to do? Usyk offered just more volume. The first 8 rounds of that fight was who's throwing more. Yeah. And that's who's going to win that round. Because they both, I mean, Joshua showed some pretty good head movement he didn't have in the first fight. So he was making Usyk miss a lot more than he did in the first fight. But Usyk was, rolling with the punches, not taking heavy shots off of Joshua. Then we get to the 9th round, and Joshua legit hurts Usyk. It started with a punch that was called a low blow at the end of the 8th, yeah. I believe. I still don't even know if that was low.
It looked low.
He caught that motherfucker clean and buckled him over. And I was like, oh. And then to come out for the 9th, and those body shots really, like Usyk was now feeling these.
Yeah.
And you go through, and Joshua was letting go and letting hands go. Damn near dropped Usyk. You're like, yo, coming out for the 10th, he could stop this guy. And came out in the 10th, nothing left. No gas left in the tank. Usyk turns it around. Damn near puts Joshua down. And then that was it. Blues loaded 9th, never had another comeback. And it was just like, all right, Usyk runs with another, 8 rounds to 4, 7-5 decision. I think I might have had it 7-5.
I had a
At that
7-5,
point,
but I could see it 8-4.
yeah. But I'm just like, those last 3 rounds are huge. If Joshua just kept his foot on the pedal, 10th, 11th, 12th, after you have all that momentum from the 9th, you're world champion again. Dig deep. Couldn't do it. Like you're big. And then you tell me what you think. That's how the fight played out in my eyes. You tell me what you think, and then we'll talk a whole different section about Anthony Joshua's action after the bell and the
All right.
decision was right.
So yeah, I don't think that the zone bought a lemon because Anthony Joshua is still going to sell out the stadium for his next fight, right? He's still a big draw.
Okay.
It's not that. It's that he's not the best heavyweight in the world, and it's Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, and Joshua and Wilder should eventually meet in 2023 to figure out who's that second tier. That's where they're at right now. Alexander Usyk's unique. Like he undisputed cruiserweight champ comes up to heavyweight and beats the guy who has the best resume of all the heavyweights twice. Tyson Fury is a unicorn. We've never seen anything like this, right? So those two guys are on another level, and I think we're just clearing the gap between 1 and 2. But the fight itself is Joshua will look good in spots. The problem is that Alexander Usyk's just a better boxer. He's just better. That's really all there is to it. Sometimes, like, this might not be the best comparison, but is Sean Porter a lemon? He's lost some fights,
No. Yep.
right? But he gives people hell when he fights.
Yep.
He's not fun to fight, but you can beat him. He's beatable. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence both beat him, but
Sean Porter wasn't getting Joshua money.
no,
They
of course not.
paid Joshua again. They paid Joshua arguably like he's the greatest heavyweight in the world.
Well, they paid him like he's the biggest draw in the world, right? Like if he's filling up
I'm
soccer
still not
arenas,
sure that's the case.
I mean, shit, man. Who else is selling out Wembley multiple times? In Wembley and O2 and everything else, right? Like
Yeah.
Joshua has
You
already
think
done that.
performance does not dictate some of that? You
I mean,
think none of that would wane? Okay.
I mean, of course it did. But I'm saying I get what they're paying for on the back end of like you pay for it hoping he can beat Usyk, and he didn't, right? So he can still draw the like. I think Joshua beats Daniel Dubois. I think he beats Joe Joyce. I think he beats Dillian White. I think he beats Frank Sanchez. I think he beats every other heavyweight. I think he beats Andy
Frank
Ruiz.
Sanchez would be one hell of a fight.
It would. I think he beats Luis Ortiz, which I think might be the fight to make if Ortiz beats Ruiz. If they find a way to cross the street and have Ortiz go to London and face Joshua in an eliminator fight, I'm here for that. But I think Joshua can beat everybody but those two, and maybe Deontay Wilder. That's the other one. Right now, I think Deontay beats him. Right?
Oh, I think Deontay takes his face off.
Yeah, like
puts
right now,
it
I
in the
think
third row somewhere.
I got to see how Deontay looks against Robert Helenius when they fight in October, right? But fact remains is that Joshua's just not the best in the world anymore, and it's hard for him to deal with that. Now, I'm just going to roll right into this post-fight stuff because as good of an account that Joshua made for himself, even in a loss, the post-fight antics were okay. I've been around Anthony Joshua in London, in New York. I've been around him a lot, and
Yeah.
he is. It was like Superman. They realized Superman was Clark Kent, and he realized it too, right? Like he spent so much time being this myth, right? Couldn't really get him to interviews. Like he was a big superstar, and like when he lost to Andy Ruiz, it was like, I just had a bad night. He went out there and won that fight. When he lost to Alexander Usyk, he was like, the first time, he's like, I had a bad night. Give me some new trainers. I'm good to go. But now for the first time in his life as a boxer, because he was an Olympic gold medalist and he didn't start training until he was like 19 years old, right? 17, whatever it was, after he went to jail. For the first time in his life, he's not the best. Like, there's questions, like, was always questions about him and Fury, who was the best. Oh, well, we got to fight to figure it out. He just fought a man twice. Didn't get knocked out by a lucky punch, got beat. So he's confused. He doesn't know how to act because he's never been Anthony Joshua in the public. He's been a celebrity in the public. His private life has been a mystery. So when he gets that mic, like, you're looking at a man who has just realized that there's other superheroes that walk this planet, not just you, right? Like, you're not the only Superman in this heavyweight division. not only that, you got a whole new challenge in your life now because chasing heavyweight legacy, that's done. You can never catch the Ali's, the Joe Frazier's. You can never catch the Mike Tyson's. Now you have to work your way from the bottom up. Not even the bottom, but it's like you're at a different level now that you got to work your way up because now this is the Tyson Fury era. This is the Alexander Usyk era.
Yep.
Joshua era is over. So I think I watched a man who was confused about what happened and had to come to grips to the fact that I'm not as good as I thought I was. I'm not as good as the world thought I was. Like the way he cut that promo, he said things like he caught pleas. He was like, "Oh, I didn't start boxing. I had a hard life. I was in prison." Things that you learn about fighters when they're open. People didn't know that Josh was in prison for like drugs and all that stuff. People thought he was like the squeaky clean character. He's not. And he let it all out. I think the man was just confused and had a meltdown. He melted down. He'll be fine, but he melted down. He didn't know how to react to just being like losing to Ruiz. You go, shit, I just had a bad night. But losing twice in a row to Usyk, basically, you fought the best. You prepared the best you could have possibly prepared, thinking you were going to go in there back to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I'm gonna win this fight, and you get beat just in another chess match. You're not the best. And he didn't know how to deal with it. He doesn't know how to cope.
You don't think that's going to have any lingering effects?
No.
Like,
no. I
mean,
he is who he is now. He's a human.
there's nothing wrong with having that type of breakdown, normally. Like, that's understand. Yeah, like, everyone has these things. It's a very public stage, but even then it's like whatever. But losing that air of invincibility, the just some of that mystique for a fighter has to play into your psyche. Like it changes him as a fighter.
Yeah, it changes him in the sense where he's got to rededicate himself to a sport. He's got to dedicate himself to a sport where it's not like I'm coming to defend, like I'm coming to prove myself. He never had to do that before. Like when he won the Olympics, he was Olympic gold medalist. When he turned pro, it was like, how good can Anthony Joshua be? It was like, imagine if LeBron came out of high school and just was shit his rookie year, and then he had to work his way up. And who did that? Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant wasn't great when he came out of high school. Like when he got traded from Charlotte to the Lakers, and I remember there was like a game where he shot like 4 air balls, and the commentary was immediately like, they might have fucked up picking this kid, and then Kobe just worked on this game. And it became one of the best ever. That's where Josh was at now, because now everybody's like, "Ooh, you might not be that good." Now he's got to prove himself. Like Kobe took that. What's different between? Because I don't know how Joshua will react. Kobe took that adversity and it made him better. Other people just can't handle that shit. Maybe Anthony Joshua can't handle it.
It's going to be interesting. He wants to return in December.
He's not. There's no way he's returning in December.
If you give him a soft touch.
Nope. Think about it.
I give him Chisora immediately.
No.
I asked Chisora, like, yo, you're not getting the Tyson Fury fight. Like, Chisora, let's go. Let's sign up you, Joshua, Wembley. You wanted a little bit more money? Here, you're going to Chisora, have it. Give him a knockout. Don't give him anyone tough. Nobody tough.
They're emotional right now. Eddie Hearn's emotional. Anthony Joshua's emotional. Like you
emotional.
Like you just lost in August. It's the end of August. You're not coming back in December. Like September, October, November. Like you got to press tour it up and all that shit. He needs a mental break. I don't think he comes back until
need a mental break.
I think we may see Joshua like next March. It also makes me wonder: is there a chance that Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk could fight at the end of the year?
I think Tyson Fury would like to fight before the end of the year. He's a weird case, right? Because like I don't know what is real and what's a work from him. But when you speak to him, you hear him speak. This retirement's been a work, right? Like we know this. But there's something to the fact that his body isn't built for a long time. He's like keenly aware of this. I mean, I'm not sure if he just feels this inside or like the training. He'll always run and all this stuff. But even at 34, I think just turned 34 or something. What?
Yeah.
He's not old, but his body, like the way he talks, it's just like, yo, my body can't do this for much longer. So like, y'all pay me, like, because I'm not going to be here for a long time. He gave great quotes last year about Jared Anderson because Big Baby always helps him train. So Jared Anderson is like, man, this kid is going to be future heavyweight champion. He's going to be it after me. Like in the next 2-3 years, this is going to be the guy in the heavyweight division. Like he always saw himself getting out in 2 or 3 years. Like I'm not sure his body can hold up to competing because you called him a unicorn and he is, right? Like, but those people break down. You shouldn't be that agile, that quick, that strong at 6'9", damn near 280, right? Like
Right.
it can't be good on your joints. Like it can't be good. Like you're not built for a long time. You sooner or later you're gonna be Pat Ewing, right? Like on the Magic with 18 million knee wraps. Like your body, when you're that big, that size, isn't built for it. Shaq started breaking down, right? Like, and he was one of the most phenomenal athletes we've ever seen. So I think Tyson Fury feels inside like, yo, my body can only take so much. So maybe this retirement was fake, but I think a real retirement isn't far off, which is why he's like, yo, I'll do these little stupid 4-round, 6-round exhibitions, get my money, some WWE. But I don't think he sees his body being able to take the grind of what it is to be his level and his style of a boxer. This is Shaq running the court. Coast to coast, alley oop off the backboard, dunking, holding the rim. Like this is the end of Lakers Shaq. And his next couple fights, we might see Miami Heat Shaq. Like where there was like that one step. He don't want to stay to be Phoenix Suns, Cleveland Cavaliers, Boston Celtics. Sorry, Shaq at this point. Like he knows his body. I don't think it's gonna. He's here for a good time, not a long time. So.
Well,
I think he wants to fight as soon as possible
so
for that reason.
but he has to fight Usyk. Like I don't know who he thinks he's fooling, right? When it comes to his next fight.
No. And he ain't getting 500 mil.
No, but he's got to stop. Like we know that you care about legacy in the heavyweight division because Tyson Fury is a student of the game.
He really is.
Like he knows legacy. He also knows that there's never been an undisputed heavyweight champion in the 4 belts era. There's a reason why he was perfectly fine giving up the ring title, but not the WBC title.
Yep.
If you think for 1 second that Tyson Fury is going to sit there and allow Alexander Usyk to become an undisputed champion before him, you're fucking nuts. Like,
and he's going to make it hard because he's going to vacate all of them and be like, go belt collect again. Because it'll take you 4 years to belt collect those.
But Usyk has 3 of the 4 belts. You have the other one. It's not the Joshua fight, which is surely disappointing in terms of money. But people are saying, oh, he doesn't want to fight Usyk because it's a complicated fight. That's not it. He wants to get paid. Like he looks at Usyk, and I believe him when he says he's a blown up middleweight. Tyson Fury looks at him as like he's too small. I can bully this man. I just fought fucking Deontay Wilder. What am I worried about him for? Granted, Usyk is a tough puzzle to solve. But
yeah, not tougher than that right hand. Dodging that right hand for 12 rounds is the hardest puzzle in boxing.
Look.
And there's no technique to that puzzle.
No, but Tyson Fury has no concern about Alexander Usyk. That doesn't mean it's not a tough fight. It's still a tough fight, but he has no concern. Yeah. He's trying to drive the price up the best way he can. By retiring, the boxer's best tool is fake retirement. It's like the rapper's best tool. Oh, Jay-Z's retiring. Come to my concert for the Black Album. And everybody's like, I got to buy a ticket. The motherfucker's career continues for another 15 years, right? But at that moment in time, the mere thought of somebody retiring gets people to come out of their pockets. So if Tyson Fury's threatening to retire, somebody's going to go, okay, Tyson, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, will you take the fight? Because if Tyson Fury's active, who cares? He'll be like, all right, fuck it. You'll do it next year.
Yep.
But if he says right now, if he's like, yo, I'm retiring if you don't pay me, somebody's gonna pay him. Like he's fighting Alexander Usyk. The worst part is Alexander Usyk's older than Tyson Fury. He
Yeah.
has both of these men have nothing else to do in their careers. This fight, if these two fight outside of a rematch clause, should be both of their last fights. They have nothing else to prove.
If I think a rematch clause would probably be in there. So
It
it's
has to be.
two
I can't
fights,
imagine
two
not.
fights, really big money, right? If at the end of this, Tyson Fury wins, he could walk away. But if he goes 2 with Usyk, say he wins both, and Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder meet, and Joshua beats Wilder, got to make that a fight, right?
Man,
Even though he has no belts and
it
Fury has all the
depends.
belts,
It
you got to
depends.
make that fight.
It depends on the timeline, I think. It depends on how long it takes to put the two fights
It'd be a
with Usyk together.
year and a half.
I'm saying, barring injury, barring any setbacks. I mean, if they can kind of go through it, and you obviously Joshua has to fight Deontay, he has to win the fight. If the timelines work, yeah, I can see that happening. The last fight in his career to have the biggest sellout in Wembley history or wherever the fuck they want to put that fight, I can see him doing that. But if it drags out to like late 2024, I don't know if Tyson Fury is going to be here that long. I don't know if he wants to wait, but that's a massive payday. But Joshua got to do his part. He got to beat Deontay Wilder, and he can't just beat him. He has to knock Deontay Wilder out.
No, yeah. You got to beat him like Fury beat him.
Yeah.
And you got to prove that, again, you can survive the right. Like, that's your chin. And that's...
And I don't know, because Usyk rocked him.
Yo, he did.
Yeah.
And people say whatever they want about Deontay Wilder. The right always lands. It's going to land at least once. Damn near, as we saw against Tyson Fury, might land twice, 3 times. Can you get up?
Yeah. Like this shit. Man, dude, we'll talk about it next week. Luis Ortiz is fighting Andy Ruiz. Ortiz has only lost to 2 people. Actually, 1. Deontay Wilder.
Twice. Twice.
And it's one of those things where you just go, like, if you lose to Michael Jordan, you lost to Michael Jordan. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Luis Ortiz hasn't lost to anybody else. I saw somebody at the time was like, Luis Ortiz
might be 59 years old, though.
No, we don't know. Luis Ortiz's birth certificate said he was 43. We don't know how old this man is, but the fact that he's fighting at a high level, and yeah, the Charles Martin fight is a little troubling because Charles Martin should have had no business putting down Luis Ortiz. But he's only lost to Deontay, right? And that's because, and it just tells you how great Tyson Fury is. Motherfucker got up. Nobody else gets up. Go back and watch the Dominic Brazil fight again and listen to the sound that right hand makes when it connects with Dominic Brazil, and then listen to Dominic Brazil's soul leave his body. Oh, fuck this. Like, that's how hard he got hit.
The Stavern knockout was so crazy because he folded like an accordion.
He made him lean back.
And Wilder was swinging from like the fences and just took like that man. I ain't seen Stavern since.
Dude, the DJ should have queued up Terror Squad's lean back for that knockout.
Just had it ready.
DJ made a mistake that night. As soon as the punch hit, lean back. Lean, because that man fell. Come on, man. I just wonder if you fight Deontay Wilder and you're one of his many victims of being knocked out. Like, if my trainer comes to me and was like, hey, Andreas, I need you to watch the tape of Deontay Wilder knocking you out so you can figure out what to do. It's like, don't play that shit around me, dog.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that.
Never seeing that again. Because there's nothing to take from that. There's no technique. There's no
Nah, it man kills me. I don't want to watch that shit.
That's it. Okay, Pork, you mentioned Luis Ortiz. Like, this fight's such a great fight. And he just gets clipped right on the top of the noggin, where no one should get knocked out. He got hit right in the front plate. And I was like, oh, that's an instant concussion. Like, gone. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
I would love to see Anthony Joshua test himself against that.
I would too. I don't know if he can stand up to it, but it's the fight to make.
He's chinny.
He is chinny. I mean, Andy Ruiz knocked him out. Alexander Usyk buzzed him. Dillian White had him hurt. Alexander Povetkin buzzed him.
Yeah. Oh, man, Klitschko put him down.
Yeah. And I mean, granted, these are giants. It's just, it's different.
Wilder ain't small.
No, Wilder ain't small.
Ruiz wasn't a giant.
No, Ruiz not even a big puncher. Just heavyweight boxing. But that's a fight you got to make. Wilder and Joshua, they have to figure it out. Wilder has to be Hellenius. Joshua has to be whoever's next. They got to fight. I wonder where they fight. That's a good. Like, if you put this fight together, where do they fight?
New York City. Probably
Good.
Barclays.
Ooh, it's going to be a messy negotiation.
Quick,
That'll be
quick flight. But I mean, I think with that being said, like, how do you not sell out a stadium?
right.
Right? Like, it's a little different with the gate and everything. Like, just so much more money in the stadium.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They both got a lot of business to handle, but Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, like the fight's
And
just
that should
gotta
be an
happen.
easy fight to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Loma's on an ESPN deal. Like they're used to dealing with K2 promotions. Like nothing ties Alexander Usyk to the zone.
Nah.
Nah. I
They'll
know
figure that shit out.
Bob is like saying pay-per-view is the bane of his existence. But listen here, Bob. it's time to go get that money.
Yeah. Figure it out.
So now hopefully it's before the end of the year. That'll be dope. I mean, that's tough though. We're booked for December 11th, Madison Square Garden, Heisman night with Teofimo Lopez. Nothing booked for November for Top Rank yet.
I mean,
Shakur's
dude,
coming up in
they just booked Bivol versus Gilberto Ramirez for the first week of November in Saudi, in Abu Dhabi.
yeah.
So here's what's
I'm
happening.
just trying to think where Top Rank can put it. Like Return of Loma should be Halloween weekend because it's late. I think that was Cops Report last week.
Here's the challenge. As we get close to the end of the year, Spence Crawford hasn't been announced, which I'm starting to think it's not happening this year. Gervonta Davis hasn't announced the fight yet. Ryan
Garcia probably fights in December.
Right, but I'm saying like when you start to pick up these dates, like the Crawford Spence fight is the one. That's the one that it's like again, if it's November 12th and November 19th, okay, that's your window. You don't want to get into December. Like if it's not there, but you gotta announce it soonish. You gotta announce it like the week of Canelo Triple G. You can't wait any longer than that.
No, because you got to get a proper build. You got to do that
huge build.
That announcement press conference and everything. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and you gotta stomp all over the DAZN in Vegas because that fight's probably happening in Vegas. So, but if you do that, the only other place that Usyk and Fury could fight is like December 19th. And that would mean that Saudi Arabia is paying a huge site fee to have it over there. That's the only other date that you can have. I don't know. Because when does Tank fight?
I mean, Tank got to fight in December. I think that's based off of what happens this week, but I think you got to run it back with what's his face who took him the distance where Tank broke his hand.
Who, the Isaac Cruz fight?
Isaac Cruz, because Isaac Cruz is fighting beginning of September.
Well, he's fighting on the co-main of the Ruiz Ortiz fight. He's a co-main.
Yes. So
depending on
Isaac Cruz, Tank running it back, I think is probably the next thing. Give me Jojo Diaz versus Ryan Garcia.
Well, Jojo Diaz is already booked.
For when?
End of November, I believe.
Oh yeah, he took a tough ass fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who Ryan Garcia fights. He's running out of people.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's these the windows are starting to close because the other thing is, I mean, even though the DAZN like clearly doesn't care, but UFC still has a big December show too. You have the Garden show in November, and I'm sure that you don't want to book Spence Crawford opposite of that Garden show.
No, got to go the week after. So that's November 12th.
So that would be November 19th, then, right?
Yep.
So that's the only date that you have because you don't want to push November. Otherwise, you're going either like January, February, and that's not like prime pay-per-view time either. So it's man, this is getting complicated because you got to fill up these spots and fill them up soon. It's a race. It's going to become a race. It's a negotiation race. I mean, I still think the Crawford Spence deal. The only thing that I can possibly think that's hanging it up is money. That's all that's left.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a rematch clause or whoever
it's all about money.
Yeah. And it's Terrence Crawford. I mean, let's keep it a buck. It's Terrence because Errol's with PBC and Heyman. They're gonna pay him what
They're
they're
gonna
gonna
take
pay.
care of him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Terrence is coming in is like, do I get a 2-fight deal? Do I get a rematch clause? Do I get a lion's share of this? Because you ain't getting 60-40 on Errol. You're lucky if you
No.
get 50-50.
Yep.
So
Even in a rematch,
that sucks. Because I know Terrence like I'm worth more than that. But
gotta win, sir.
yes, you
Gotta
do.
win.
Gotta put your nuts on the table and
So,
prove yourself.
yep. So we'll see how that all plays out. Man, it's a great little boxing episode. Make sure you guys check out our MMA episode that dropped yesterday as well. And then we'll be back in studio. Last episode of the week, talking pro wrestling. So that is going to be fun. A ton to talk about there. AEW rumors, what isn't going on. CM Punk, big AEW show going on already that we got to recap from Dynamite. WWE is rolling along. We're getting ready for 3 pay-per-views in 2 days or 3 premium live events. I don't know. A lot going on to begin September. So we're in the home stretch. So this is going to be fun. Thank you guys for listening as always. Shout out to producer Cole, Bay, holding it down for us, making us sound great and look great as always. Follow us on social media at Corner Podcast _ on Twitter, Corner Club for Life on Instagram. Thank you to Blue Wire. Be back in studio, like I mentioned, for the final show of the week. You guys stay safe. Till next time, we're out.
Peace.